Live button is hit, and we are officially live. There should be some notifications from push.
Notifications anymore because I've not set my phone up to do that, but it is working. I can tell you that. That's good.
Excellent.
Yes.
I think I'm starting to come.
Just coming up to 2 minutes to go, Carlos. If we want to be on time.
Yep, Roger that. I'll. Armando's just said something. What's he said in the...
Second restart, he says. Get a Mac. It's my answer.
Not according to story number 2, I think. No,
anyway, moving on.
What have I got to start this from? When have I got to start this from? 30 seconds, isn't it?
Yes, at 59:30.
Yeah, right, I'm just looking. I've got the GMT thing on the thing in front of me here. Right. I've got a minute, just under a minute to go. Anyone in the chat room?
Only me.
There should be 5. It says 5 on the thing on my phone where I'm monitoring.
Watching and being in the chat room is not the same thing, is it?
Ah, yeah.
Mr. Lane Street is in the chat room.
Hello, Lane. Coming up to 59. 30 seconds left. Oh, Lane, 60 seconds. I know, very prompt, reliable service that we offer here.
Well, we try.
At PTUK.
We try.
PTUK.
Yes, not all podcasts are like that, are they?
No, we shan't name anyone. Oh, I've got to press a button in a second. Hold on.
Yep.
Who'd have guessed it could all go so swimmingly wrong when Matt's not here? Hello and welcome to episode number 284 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and not joining me in the studio, as you'll probably see this week, is Matt Smith. Because he is on his holiday somewhere out in, well, I think he's in Yorkshire actually, Nev, isn't he?
He is, yes. And I hope it's coming nice and fine as well. A bit of a dodgy start to the show, but I'm sure we can patch that up later on.
So how are things with you, Nev?
Yeah, all good actually, mate. Yes, very nice. Very good. Another good week of work, a bit of a short week. We've got a holiday here in, well, England and Wales at least, Monday. And yeah, that was all good. Weather's been reasonable, I think. And yeah, had a great week and recovering from the Biggin air show. I think we've got the cap on there as well. So yeah, we had a great time actually. It was really good, wasn't it? So and glad to be back.
Oh, good. And Armando, you've joined us. Welcome.
Hey, can you hear me right? Just in under the wire.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those shows tonight, and it's definitely gonna be one of those shows.
Can you hear?
Yeah, the signal is not the best tonight, I will say. With the Wi-Fi, I don't know whether it's this end or not. I'm not sure.
Well,
there you're back. There we go.
Well, yeah, just under the wire. So
And Nev, your audio as well is gone the way of the.
Oh dear. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, Nev was Skyping quite a bit there, so I didn't understand.
Okay.
I'm sure he's doing well. I'm sure that's what he said from my lip reading skills.
How's that? Is that any better now?
That's better. Yeah.
Oh, that's
a lot
better. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know what caused all that, but anyway, so my apologies for the audio quality there.
Sorry, we're going to have to. I think I'm just going to have to. We'll have to like edit the hell out of this. Most.
Oh, we could just start it again now that.
Or
we're
tell you what,
sort of-
why don't we start it from the top?
Yeah, I
Because
think that's probably a good idea.
Not too far
'Cause
into it, are we?
This whole mouse thing, that we're going to have to get a new one of these because this is. I think I'm going to throw this out the window before the end of the show. All right, Armando, can you hear everything? Can you hear everyone?
Yeah, I can hear you, Carlos.
Yeah,
and
good.
At last check, I was able to hear Nev. Yeah.
Right. Shall we try that again from the top, guys?
Yeah. Go on then.
That was a good. And we also didn't have the countdown, which is funny. I don't know where that went.
No, we didn't. No.
Right, so let's restart that from the start. Right, so if we're all ready, let's try that again. With some audio would be good. Right, let's try that again. Right, here we go. Right. Oh, dear me. Note to oneself, don't ever buy these remote control handheld things because they're useless. We are changing to mouses next week. Right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Well, hello and welcome to episode number 284 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and not joining me in the PTUK studios this week is my co-host Matt Smith, because he's sunning himself in the fields of Yorkshire in the caravan, I do believe, this week. But joining us via the realms of the interweb is the man who I could only say could sort everything out technically if he was here with me. It's Neville Bounds.
Yeah, that's been fun, but never mind. We'll do our best. We'll see how we get on. But yeah, great to be back on the show this week. And yeah, been a very busy week at work for me. Lots of stuff going on, and just finished editing all the Biggin Hill stuff as well this week, which was great. So that's all uploaded, and we'll be showing some of that later on. But yeah, really enjoyed our time there. So I've not been on the show since the Biggin Hill air show.
No, we've missed you.
Flight. That was really good, and yeah, really enjoyed it. So had a superb time there.
So joining us as well this week via the realms of the internet, it's the man who usually finds himself getting up at the silly hours of the morning to join us on a Saturday morning show. It's Armando.
Hey, Carlos. Hey, Nev. How you guys doing? Happy to be here once again. It's a beautiful day here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm excited to make it to the show. Unfortunately, I can only be here for about an hour today, but looks like we got really good stories, and I'm excited to go talk about them.
Excellent. So we've got lots to get through in the show this week, as Armando said, well, we've got some stories to do actually this week, news stories, and while he frantically tries and gets the news story stinger up, we're definitely going to have to invest in some new mices in this studio. We've got also got a good segment from Biggin Hill, as Nev said, coming up later on with the Bronco, I think it is, isn't it, Nev? We've got coming up.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to start the show then, as we do each week, with a rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if everyone's ready, fingers crossed.
Yes, we are.
Ready to go.
Let's go. Just imagine the aviation news stinger playing out now. Oh, it's all going swimmingly well. Well, we'll put that in post, I presume. Anyway, so kicking off this week's first news story, and this one is on the cnbc.com website, and it's all about the MAX, because we like to have a chat about the MAX on the show. So United Airlines to move its grounded 737 MAX jets to Arizona. So obviously they've got a few of these kicking around now on the ground. So United Airlines announced on Wednesday this week that it's moving its grounded fleet of 737 MAX jets to Arizona for storage. The airline, which has 14 of the aircraft, currently stores the jets in Houston and Los Angeles. United said it's moving the aircraft because of weather issues in Houston and construction of space issues in Los Angeles. The Boeing plane has been grounded since mid-March following 2 fatal crashes, which we all know about. And the plane must be recertified by the FAA before it can rejoin the fleets. United is fully committed to safe movement of the MAX aircraft, and they also said that they have clearance from the FAA to conduct these ferry flights, a United spokesperson said. Houston is less than 60 miles inland from the Gulf of Mexico, and the southern US is in the midst of peak hurricane season. And that's one of the reasons why the airline is moving the jets, the spokesperson said. The timeline to reintroduce the aircraft has been pushed back, leading airlines to take the jet off their schedules. United has cancelled 737 MAX flights until November. The company said the move to Arizona does not change those plans. Southwest has said it won't fly the plane until 2020 and has delayed hiring new pilots because of uncertainty around the MAX. The grounding has also caused storage issues for Boeing, and which has continued to produce new aircraft, and the company is hiring temporary workers, as we said in last week's show, to maintain its undelivered fleet. The cancellations have also weighed on airlines' earnings. American Airlines reported a $175 million hit to its pre-tax income the second quarter due to the grounding. United did not disclose the financial impact of the grounding on its earnings, but it did say it was buying used 737s to meet growing demand. Now, I suppose we can all probably know and guess why they're moving these aircraft to Arizona, because I suppose there's lots more space and it's also dry. Would you say, Armando?
Yeah, that's it's Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California. I think it's Victorville, San Bernardino. Those are all good places for airlines to, well, any air operator to store their airplanes. And there's actually specialty centers, we'll call them, that specialize in pickling aircraft and getting them, prepped to battle the elements, but still remain in an airworthy condition. And as we speak, there is a hurricane that's headed towards sort of Florida and could turn into the Gulf. So I know for them, it's probably a smart move to go ahead. And I think, I don't know if it was United, but it was another airline that was saying they were regularly flying these aircraft, with no passengers, just on sort of these maintenance flights to keep them lubed up, so to speak.
Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it, really, whether these aircraft will end up staying there if this doesn't get sorted out soon. But any thoughts, Nev?
Well, yeah, I was just thinking about how long they've been grounded for so far, and the cost associated with this must be billions of dollars by now in terms of compensation and loss of earnings for the airlines and all sorts of things. I mean, I really hope that when November comes along, this is sorted once and for all, because Boeing cannot afford to have either an accident with this or another failure of the MCAS system. So let's keep our fingers crossed for them, because it's it's obviously hurting the company very much, and also its customers and therefore its passengers too.
So Nev, sticking with you, the next story is good news for Boeing and BA.
Yeah, it's the 787-10, and that's going to be the next BA next new aircraft type. BA will be the only carrier in the UK to operate all three models of the 787. The aircraft, or the airline rather, already operates the Dash 8 and Dash 9 variants. And it says, whilst our focus has been firmly on the Airbus A350 entering British Airways fleet recently, it's time for a change. The airline is due to welcome its first Boeing 787-10 next year. Of the 189-10 aircraft on order, BA has claimed 12. 7 airlines have already taken delivery of the Dash 10 so far out of 12 customers, including lessors. The Dash 10 is the largest of the 3 Boeing 787 variants. Earlier on, British Airways told simpleflying.com that its first Dash 10 will be delivered sometime during 2020. This confirms what we already know from its 2018 financial report, where BA said that outstanding commitments would see these aircraft delivered between 2020 and 2023. Unfortunately, BA is as yet unable to further narrow this year-long window. Earlier on, Executive Traveller reported that the first example will be delivered to BA in January, but when questioned by Simple Flying, however, BA was unable to confirm this news. With this said, we'd love to see the Dash 10 delivered towards the start of the new year. Now, BA's new Dash 10 aircraft will come equipped with the carrier's new Club Suite cabin. The new suites will come equipped as the aircraft is delivered from the Boeing factory. This will launch the third phase of the carrier's suite rollout program. The new Club Suite cabin debuted on the carrier's recently delivered Airbus A350 aircraft. The aircraft, Golf X-Ray Whiskey Bravo Alpha, is the first of 18 to be delivered to the airline, with a further 3 expected by the end of the year. In March, BA said that it was expecting 72 aircraft to join its fleet over the next 5 years. This includes the new Dash 10s, in addition to up to 42 777-9 aircraft. Now, BA's new A350 aircraft are currently being delivered without a first-class cabin. As at the aircraft's inaugural flight from London Heathrow, Simple Flying asked Alex Cruz whether he thought the Club Suite would draw customers from first class. Mr. Cruz told us that the airline's refurbished Boeing 777s will not have a brand new first-class seat. He adds that he hopes that there'll be a differentiated service between First and Club World on the 777-9. Expanding on his point, Mr. Cruz commented that he did not believe that the new Club Suites product will poach many customers from the carrier's first cabin. As the Boeing 787-10 is being delivered before the 777-9, it will be a fair assumption that the Dash 10 will have the carrier's existing first-class product.
Now, I travelled a couple of years ago on the BA's Dash 9 of the Dreamliner, which was but they only just had it a few months, and I was really impressed with it. I thought the interior was nice, although I was sitting in economy, but they have those very nice couple seats right at the very back of the aircraft, which I do love. Those a little row of 2 seats on each side, which are definitely worth the extra how many pounds it was to reserve those seats.
Yeah, they are good. Brilliant.
So, Armando, the next story is for you.
Yeah, this is from Aviation Herald, and it's about an accident that happened over in China. So an Air China Airbus A330-300, registration Bravo 5958, performing flight 183 from Beijing to Tokyo Haneda Airport, was boarding for departure when smoke emanated from the aircraft, prompting a rapid disembarkation of the people on board. Cabin and flight crew vacated the aircraft via the jet bridge. After all the passengers, emergency services responded and extinguished a fire in the forward cargo hold. There were no injuries. The aircraft received substantial damage. The airline reported on 27 August, Beijing time, flight 183 from Beijing to Tokyo during the passenger boarding found that the forward cargo space in front of the aircraft smoked. The crew quickly took firefighting measures and organized safe evacuation. The specific cause of the incident is under investigation. That flight had arrived from Singapore a few hours earlier, and the China's Civil Aviation Authority released some figures. It had 167 passengers, 3 flight crew, 11 cabin crew, and 1 security officer on board. They received a forward cargo smoke indication on their ECAM, and quickly evacuated the aircraft. So yeah, Carlos is showing the pictures there. That this looks like one of those pretty intense fires that spreads fairly quickly, and I'd say that aircraft is going to be written off, but it seems pretty localized though. So I'm curious to see in the future what they find the cause of this to be. But at the end of the day, they were lucky to have been at the gate and able to deplane very quickly through the jetways, and that can be a challenging situation because at the gate the slides are not armed. Not that it takes very long to arm them, but that could be one of those habit patterns that you don't have of how do you evacuate the airplane when the slides aren't armed and it's on the ground.
Actually, I was looking at the on that story on the Av Herald. There's a list of what cargo was in the cargo compartments, and there's some rather interesting bits and pieces, I should say, on that aircraft. Nev, I don't know whether you had a chance to glance through the list of stuff that goes from anywhere from a phone pendant to a wind chime, sweaters. I'm just trying to find something that would be remotely flammable in amongst that lot. Although, yeah.
Well, there's some speculation as to whether it started in the cargo hold or it was a galley fire. It doesn't seem like the floor in that area was compromised. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that the deck on the Airbus is a solid deck, so there's not very many pipes that a fire could go up through, from the cargo hold to the ceiling like that. So I'm no expert at
looks like it's above the galley.
But yeah, I would lean towards a galley fire or something, some kind of electrical fire up above the galley or something.
Actually, our main man Micah in the chat room has just said apparently the fire was related to the oxygen system, and the China Civil Aviation Authority put out a warning to check oxygen systems on all A330s. So there we go. Thank you, Micah. That's why we have the chat room, you see. So moving on to the next story, which is on flightglobal.com. Nev, your favourite site. So AirAsia Group orders, good news for Airbus, AirAsia Group orders more 330neos and 321XLRs. So long-haul budget carrier AirAsia X is ordering another 12 A330-900s, adding to the 66 already booked by the airline. It's also taking 30 of the newly launched long-range Airbus A321XLR single-aisle twin-jet aircraft as well. AirAsia X signed for the aircraft during an event in Kuala Lumpur on the 30th of August. And while the A330neos are powered exclusively by Rolls-Royce Trent 7000s, no engine selection has been disclosed for the A321XLRs, although AirAsia is a strong CFM international customer. The budget airline has been instrumental in the decision by Airbus to re-engine the A330. AirAsia Group Chief Tony Fernandez said the order for the 12 additional aircraft reaffirms the company's selection of the twin-jet as the most efficient choice for its long-haul fleet. Fernandez adds that the A321XLR will enable the company to introduce new routes to destinations. And AirAsia X chairman Radif Aziz says the decision will enable the airline to look at expanding beyond the 8-hour flight radius to cover destinations in Europe. AirAsia's order combination will lend strong backing to Airbus's strategic pairing of the long-range A321neo variants with the A330neo as a counter on Boeing development of a new mid-market aircraft. Now, it's safe to say, I think that well, obviously with the current situation that is in the aviation world at the moment, Airbus are, gotta say, they are really raking us in, guys, aren't they, with the orders?
Oh yeah. Yes, they're on a bit of a roll at the moment, aren't they? But as always in the commercial aviation world, things can change at a moment's notice as well. So once Boeing get their MAX aircraft going, and they start shipping or delivering the Dash 10s as well. That could easily change again. So, but you never know. And it tends to, synchronize the timing with things like big air shows and things like that, doesn't it? So, by Farnborough next year, for example, it could all be different, but you never know.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see. I would love to have a go at flying on the A330 Neo, because I thought the original A330 was fairly noisy. So hopefully the Neo is a lot quieter. Armando, have you tried any of the Neo variants of Airbus's aircraft yet?
No, I haven't. I thought I was gonna get on one on Allegiant, but I don't think they have the Neos quite yet.
Obviously, Nev, you've had the joy of flying on one of BA's new Neo 320s, haven't you?
Yeah, I was on the A320 Neo out of Gibraltar. That was the first time I went on it, and then I went on A321 Neo coming back from Edinburgh one day. And great sound on takeoff, but so quiet in the cruise, as I've mentioned before. So very comfortable for the passengers, definitely.
So, Nev, a special story next, chosen just for you.
It's my own fault, isn't it? Because every time there's a computer failure at PT UK headquarters or on Armando's side, maybe, I normally say, well, go and get a Mac. It just works, doesn't it? Unfortunately, here is a situation where this may not be the right answer, because on laptopmag.com it says major airline bans all MacBook models after battery recall. Well, several airlines have extended a ban on MacBook Pro laptops to include those that weren't affected by faulty batteries. If you missed the original news, Apple recalled the 2015 MacBook Pro sold between September 2015 and February 2016, I guess that probably is, after it was determined that some units could overheat and pose a fire safety risk. This led the FAA to warn US airlines against allowing MacBook Pros on board flights, a caution that spread around the globe. Whilst the number of affected MacBook Pros was determined to be around about 460,000, some airlines are extending the ban, and one has gone as far as banning all MacBook models, regardless of make or manufacture date. According to a Bloomberg report, Australian airline Qantas now requires all 15-inch versions of the MacBook Pro to be carried in the cabin and turned off. Australia's other major airline, Virgin Australia, took it a step further by banning all Apple laptops from checked-in luggage. In a statement, Virgin Australia states that all Apple MacBooks must be placed in carry-on baggage only. Asian Airlines, Singapore, and Cathay Pacific have also banned the recalled MacBook Pro models, whilst Thai Airways has banned all MacBook Pros released between September 2015 and February 2017, whether they fall under the recall or not. Because each airline has its own rules, we strongly recommend checking in with an airline for details about their MacBook Pro ban policy before heading to the airport, it says. Whilst it might seem strict for an airline to ban all MacBook Pro models from flying, it's easy to sympathise with their decision. Faulty batteries are no joke. Damaged or defective lithium-ion batteries can undergo thermal runaway, an unstoppable chain reaction that causes them to ignite. If that were to happen to a laptop with an airline's cargo hull, it could be catastrophic. Also, determining whether a 15-inch MacBook Pro one is dangerous to bring aboard is a difficult and time-consuming process. The only way to know for sure is by turning the notebook on, which could be a risk in itself, and checking the serial number found in About This Mac page within the Mac OS. There is no way to visually distinguish between MacBook Pro models unless one has a touch bar. If you own an affected 15-inch MacBook Pro, Apple will replace your battery for free, but you'll have to send your laptop to an Apple repair center. So this is just another case of the lithium-ion and the thermal runaway business. Very nasty, and there's plenty of clips on YouTube you can see of how difficult it is to put these kind of fires out, because the temperature just gets hotter and hotter, and it's relentless.
Do you find these get hot when you're charging them, Nev, or is it?
I haven't got a MacBook Pro anymore, unfortunately, but they can get on the warm side, but not overly so. The power supply certainly does, as you'd expect. But but no, this whole lithium-ion business is a big issue, isn't it?
I was wondering also as well. Obviously you have the charge points on the back of the seats in a lot of aircraft now. Whether these charge points on the aircraft are, of the right amperage and power to charge, something like a netbook, a laptop, or a MacBook. Do you think?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, of course, there's so many things which are using USB-C now as well. So there's a whole different sort of power and charging regime going on. So yeah, it's very difficult. And of course, people are running machines which are 4 or 5 years old, regularly. I mean, they all still work. The one I just gave back, it's 2014 vintage. It worked perfectly. So it's a big problem.
Any thoughts for you, Armando, before we move on?
Yeah, I just wonder what an incredible burden it is for the airline, because I know when I travel, the only people that ever look at my laptop PC is security when you're going through, and I don't know that I've ever seen the airline crack open a bag and say, hey, do you have this certain type of... So you're really banking on the people knowing and that what model they have, and then knowing that the airline has restricted those models. So that's great that they'll put it out there. I'm sure they'll put signs out just like they did with the Samsung phones for a little while there, and make cabin announcements. But at what point will your cabin announcement say, hey, here's how you buckle your seatbelts. The life rafts are operated this way, and we're going to go through the list of prohibited items. Who's going to check for that stuff other than the passengers themselves?
Actually, did I read something on online this week, Nev? They're going to start to relax the liquid ban at some point soon in the UK.
Yeah, there's some talk about that. There's new technology coming in, and we'll no doubt do a news story about this quite soon, I think, about how they're going to detect things in future. So that's going to help a lot. I mean, again, if you fly on any flight at all, especially people that aren't familiar with the protocol, it does cause a massive amount of delay before the security bit. So anything that can alleviate that has to be a good thing, doesn't it?
So, Armando, the next story for you is all about something that I would love, a nice 20-hour-long flight.
Yeah, Qantas is going to run some marathon ghost flights from New York and London to Sydney, carrying just a few staff to see how the human body holds up before the commercial services actually start. Qantas said Thursday it will simulate the world's longest direct flights with Boeing Dreamliners as soon as October. The payload of 40 passengers and crew, most of them employees, will undergo a host of medical checks and assessments. The Australian airline wants to start direct flights connecting Sydney to New York and London as soon as 2022. The CEO of Qantas describes the services as aviation's final frontier. That's a lofty statement, but the services, which take about 20 hours, aren't yet a sure thing. Qantas still hasn't decided on a Boeing or Airbus SE plane that can fly the route fully laden and without a break. And it's not clear how passengers will tolerate living in the cabin for the best part of the day and night. Yeah. Joyce, the CEO, has previously said he plans to choose either the Boeing 777-8X or the Airbus's A350-900 ULR and 1000 ULR for the flights. Competition for the contract gives Qantas more leverage over the price. In an interview with Bloomberg Television on Thursday, Joyce said that the delay to Boeing's 777X program hasn't excluded the U.S. manufacturer from the deal, but he said that Boeing had offered Qantas a, quote, transitional, end quote, solution to accommodate for any delay, and he did not elaborate. So 20 hours, that's a long time in an airplane, isn't it?
You know, we've covered this story many times now on the show, and you know, I'd be quite happy to travel for 20 hours on an aircraft because it doesn't bother me. But I think we'd all agree, and I think everyone in the chat room and all the listeners would probably agree, that if you were doing a 20-hour long flight in, say, premium, business, or first, you probably wouldn't care too much about the length of the flight. Let's be honest. Nev?
Yeah, I'm with you all the way there. Definitely. Yes, all this business in economy, you know, anything over 45 minutes and I start to get the shivers, you know. It's just awful.
Mind you, I actually did read somewhere this afternoon whilst I was laying on my sick bed at home, that certain airlines now are starting to bring back some of the kind of niceness about economy. Not that there obviously was ever much niceness about economy, but a lot of the airlines are starting to improve the economy package. So perhaps that's something we'll see in future episodes.
That's a good thing. Yeah, good to hear.
So moving on to the next story, which is here we go. If I press the right button, there we go. There's me. This one is on simpleflying.com. And the headline, Spirit Airlines to offer flight bookings via WhatsApp. So customers of Spirit Airlines will soon be able to inquire about booking a flight via WhatsApp. The US airline, or US-based airline, is set to launch the initiative from next month. The Points Guy reports that from the 1st of September, customers will be able to use WhatsApp to ask precise questions about their flight. Reservations, modifications will be able to be made in both English and Spanish languages. A text-based inquiry will initially be responded to by a chatbot. Oh, there we go. Here, customers can ask basic questions before a Spirit representative will take over. And to wrap up the reservation, the agent will send over an external link through the app. To take advantage of the process, passengers will have to reside in the US, Caribbean or Latin America. The cost of using the bulk of this service for inquiries will be free. The complimentary offerings include being able to add bags, select seat assignments and receive instant flight information or assistance. And to make new reservations or to change existing itinerary, there will be a charge of $25. Some of the customers have been criticising the lack of positive customer service from the low-cost airline. Over the summer, there have been several negative incidents involving Spirit flights. There are reports of passengers on board a Spirit flight that had been forced to move seats to accommodate an apparently racist request. Passengers reportedly refused to be seated next to another passenger because of their skin colour and demanded the airline move the original passenger elsewhere, to which the airline complied. A few weeks later, the Spirit passenger was hospitalised following an in-flight fume incident. Apparently Captain Al wasn't on board at the time. The A320 travelling between Seattle and Las Vegas last week had an unusual fumes enter the cabin. Eyewitnesses said that it smelt of wet, dirty socks. Why is it always wet, dirty socks? Every time we have the story. Then this month, a bat got locked in a Spirit restroom during a 2-hour flight. Oh, poor bat. Despite these incidents, Spirit still succeeds as one of the most popular low-cost airlines in the US. The cost of convenience to balance is something that customers consider when choosing the carrier. So, Armando, have you ever flown with Spirit?
I have flown Spirit, and to be fair, most of these things that they just talked about, these negative experiences, actually have nothing to do with the airline. But moving a passenger because of a dispute, that's probably the least confrontational thing to do, is just say, okay, we'll move them. The last thing you want is a confrontation on the airplane. And a bat and an unusual fume that happens on any airplane, especially if Captain Al is flying. So I didn't have that bad of an experience. I knew what I was purchasing, and it was quite pleasant. Same thing with Allegiant. I just flew Allegiant 2 weeks ago, and frankly the Allegiant experience was better than some of the majors that I've flown recently. The aircraft was roomy, the crew was friendly. It was nice to go direct to not a major airport so you can get in and out quicker. So I've had good experiences with Spirit, with Allegiant, with Frontier, every time I've flown all of them. So
yeah, and I like their livery as well. Very standout.
Yeah.
So Nev, next story is for you, and is about a certain area of the aircraft that I'll never go, but you probably will.
No, I don't think I will actually. This is about the first class cabin in BA, which always seem to be quite well populated. Every time I'm flying, there's always lots of people in the first class section. So let's see. Well, it's, as I say, it's on the simpleflying.com website as well. And BA has recently upgraded its business class cabin, as we alluded to earlier on. And the new Club World sees each passenger given a private suite. However, some have claimed that the cabin is better than the first class offering. So will BA update its first class cabin? Well, the BA's new business class cabin is the first hard product upgrade in the cabin in 13 years. And this is replacing the 242 configuration of a new cabin of 121 suites, where everybody has direct aisle access. With a business class cabin that rivals the current first class product, will BA be upgrading the first class? So some have suggested that the new Club Suite cabin could poach some customers from the first class cabin on board aircraft, such as the refurbished Boeing 777, which will have both cabins. At the inaugural flight of the carrier's first Airbus A350, Simple Flying asked BA CEO Alex Cruz whether this was something that worried him. Mr. Cruz told us, no, there is a lot of corporate travel which has its own corporate rules and own corporate arrangements. Before adding, based on what we've been discussing internally, the data that we have, we don't think there'll be a significant shift. There'll be some, but I don't feel that it will be significant. And the question is, should we expect a new first class cabin? Well, the answer is no, not at least for a couple of years. Alex Cruz says that the newly refurbished 777s will not have a brand new first class seat. However, he also mentioned we are quite centered thinking about the 777-9. That's when we hope there'll be some sort of differentiated service. If BA was to introduce a new first class hard product on the -9, passengers will need to wait a couple of years. According to the International Airlines Group, BA's parent company, the airline will take delivery of its new Boeing 777-9 aircraft between 2022 and 2025. The question is, though, are people still going to book first class? Well, despite the gap between BA's business and first class product narrowing, Alex Cruz's predictions are likely to be correct. The real difference in the cabins comes down to the soft product. The first cabin is much more exclusive, with cabin crew dealing with up to 14 passengers as opposed to over 40. Additionally, first class passengers will have access to amenities such as the airline's first class lounges and food and drink exclusive to the first cabin. A BA spokesman told us, in first we have launched a new a la carte menu with fresh British seasonal ingredients, a new 400 thread count bedding, designer glassware, crockery and cutlery, new loungewear and brand new bespoke amenity kits containing a new range of Elemis products, which is nice, of course, but I can only imagine the cost of some of these first class tickets. Just for a laugh occasionally, I'll have a bit of a look to see what it is, to go first class as opposed to economy, and it is eye-watering. It's not even close. And of course, it's a big uplift on the business class fare as well. Again, they're not really comparable at all.
No, I'm just looking, actually, just while you were doing the story there, Nev, just looking myself to see how much it would cost for a little shindig across to the States. And it's just literally popping up in front of me now, hopefully, if it will do, on the BA's website. Here we go. So we're going to try going from London Heathrow to New York. Here we go. This is leaving tomorrow, return flight. And for the benefit of you guys and girls watching in the world of YouTube, there we go. That's how much the cost of... There's 3 seats left as well. 3 seats left. Okay. Return in first class. So that was actually no, that's just single. We need to do the return flight as well, don't we? That's just one way. Here we go. Let's get the return flight up as well, and select that. Make sure I don't click the pay now button. Unless I've got Nev's card details in there.
Credit cards on there. Yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. There we go. There is the price. For those of you watching in YouTube, there we go. That is the price. And for those of you listening to the audio podcast, return flights to the US, New York, from Heathrow, £13,760.92. What do you reckon, Nev?
Now, I remember when Concorde was flying, everybody was complaining about the £4,000 return ticket. That was going back a while though, but yeah, those are telephone numbers, aren't they? Really now.
What do you reckon, Armando? Are you going to push the boat out and take you and Meg?
I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. Maybe once I get an airline job and I can non-rev or get some kind of buddy pass or something. Yeah. I don't think I'll be the first class cabin of BA either. So Nev, it'll be all up to you.
So moving on to the next story, Armando, for you, this one is regarding an interesting in-flight video or safety video.
Yeah, I do love this because we talk about this plenty. Japan Airlines is launching a new safety video that shows off what happens when passengers ignore emergency instructions in somewhat graphic detail. The video also highlights potential new problems that can occur during an evacuation based on real aircraft disasters that occurred earlier this year. So the airline has released a new safety video to brief passengers on potential problems and how to act. However, the airline still stressed that passengers must follow instructions, as has made their new video somewhat graphic. That's a redundant paragraph. The safety video highlights potential risks inside the cabin. It provides key directives on evacuation of the aircraft. So using a 3D rendered cartoon human, the video is able to animate them in rather exaggerated ways to highlight the effects of not following instructions. It has all the normal items, but then it's trying to emphasize keeping your seatbelt fastened in case of turbulence. It shows the man being thrown around by the turbulence, keeping items stowed under your seat in front or above. Then it shows the passenger's items being thrown around the cabin. Leaving your luggage behind, showcasing a passenger blocking the aisle as desperate passengers try to escape from behind. Don't bring luggage or heels down the slide, with passengers ripping the emergency slide as they drag suitcases or trip with their heels. And the last one is passengers fleeing from the airplane as it has performed an emergency landing. So yeah, Carlos is playing that out, and even what they call dramatic reenactment or cartoons, I think even in real life it's probably even more emotional than that. I know what I would do if I had to evacuate an aircraft and I saw somebody going for their carry-on luggage.
Go on in. What would you do?
Knock them out. You know, it's a family show, so yeah.
But I have to say, after all the videos that we've seen on the show, because we do have some quite comical videos with famous people on, all the rest of it. This is pretty good, I will say, from a safety point of view. I suppose it's proving a point. Would you say, Nev? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, no, it's right up there, isn't it? Yeah, and I think that's one of the most effective ones going. But you know, there's been this year there's been quite a lot of aircraft evacuations that have been filmed, and it's the same problem, isn't it? You know, people taking the carry-on luggage and all the rest of it, and it just shows you the delay that it can cause when you're trying to evacuate an aircraft as quickly as you can. So yeah, anything which highlights that, it's got to be a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So next story, moving on, is on gizmodo.co.uk website. And we do hate droning on this show, but we've got a drone story this week. So this one headline is Gatwick bound A320 forced to evade drone. So the pilot of an A320 coming into land at Gatwick back in April was buzzed by a drone. It's been revealed by the air traffic safety watchdog, with the machine getting so close that the aircraft was forced to change course in a minor aerial panic. So the UK Airprox investigators aren't revealing which airline was involved, lest passengers respectively turn green and start getting ideas about compensation for nearly dying unawares. The report from the pilot says that he was around 500 metres up in the air, way above the acceptable ceiling for drone play, when he saw a dark machine flying extremely close, and it immediately banked to the right to create some space between his metal tube and the enemy. Interesting journalism. It's estimated that the drone came as close as 80 feet from the aircraft and its 186 fortunately unknowing passengers, with the machine being flown by some naughty boy within the controlled airspace boundaries on the airport's approach. The monthly Airprox report also contains the mysterious case of an A319 that encountered an unknown object at 6,500 feet up, with its flying crew reporting something metallic looking and reflective light passing the length of the aircraft. Investigators again said they could not determine the nature of the object, said the Airprox board. And yeah, well, it's safe to say that we haven't had a drone story for a few weeks at least. Yeah, this obviously is coming back and rearing its ugly head again, Nev.
Yes, and also rearing its ugly head again is media inaccuracy. So the stories about an A320 and then an A319. So we see a picture of a Boeing 744 of Virgin Atlantic.
We do. So very true, Nev.
Well done, then.
Well done to Gizmodo. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I had a really surprising and positive experience just by happenstance. I was at the airport counter getting ready to fly when the phone rang, and it was a young man that had just purchased a drone, and they handed the phone to me and said, well, we got a pilot here, maybe they can talk to you about it. I was like, well, I don't know anything about drones, but I really appreciated that this young man actually called his local airport and said, hey, I just bought a drone. What are the rules for this? Can I come to the airport? Or I think he said I live within 4 miles of the airport. Can I fly my drone? And I quickly went over to, at least here in the U.S., the FAA.gov/UAS website. So it's very well organized, and you know, you can click on it if you're a recreational flyer or a commercial operator or public safety user. But I basically read him the highlights from that website. So I was just really surprised that somebody would call their local airport and ask what the rules were before he turned the power on and started flying it. So I hope more people are doing that around the country, or at least going to the FAA website here in the U.S.
But it's good. It's good, though. At least people are obviously learning. There are some conscientious people in the world with these drones, so that's good. So next story, Nev, moving on, is one for you, all about, well, it's another BA story.
It is, and it's on the mirror.co.uk, and once again there are so many adverts on this page it's very difficult to even read it, but I shall do my best. It says that aviation fans can get a glimpse inside the Boeing factory thanks to a new all-access documentary from British Airways. British Airways 24/7 Access All Areas will air on Channel 5 here in the UK, and the first episode offers a sneak peek inside Boeing's headquarters in Seattle. In a teaser clip, Gavin Shearer, BA's aircraft delivery manager, visits the HQ as he prepares to buy the airline's 30th Boeing 787 Dreamliner. It offers a pretty fascinating glimpse into the factory, inside the factory, complete with sneak peeks of the Dreamliner aircraft being built, spray painted and prepared for sale. The manufacturing site doesn't just build Dreamliners, it's also where Boeing 747, 767, 777 and 787 aircraft are made. The episode will also see Gavin and his team working against the clock with the aircraft manufacturer to finalise the deal and fly the new aircraft to Heathrow in time to operate its first flight to Toronto. Gavin said buying a new car is stressful enough, but buying a new aircraft is a bit like that, but a lot more expensive and a lot more complicated. It really is an enormous privilege to be in charge of delivering these incredible modern planes for British Airways. But I'm just one small part of a huge team responsible for making sure the aircraft is ready to enter service for our customers in just a few days. British Airways is currently expanding its fleet as it aims to take delivery of 73 new aircraft as part of a 5-year investment plan. This project also includes existing aircraft receiving a makeover. So, for example, the documentary will also include footage inside British Airways engineering base in Cardiff, where a long-haul Boeing 777 aircraft will be stripped down and completely refurbished. The new 4-part documentary series comes as British Airways celebrates its centenary year. And it could do with a bit of good news, couldn't it, at the moment, with all the problems it's had this year. So, I'm looking forward to seeing that. So you can see that on Channel 5 here in the UK on Thursday, the 5th of September at 9 p.m. And I'm sure it'll be on the catch-up services and probably YouTube at some point after that.
Actually, I was going to say, Armando, over in the US, obviously this is on, as Nev said, this is on over here on Channel 5 in the UK. Do you guys have access to Channel 5 over in the US via satellite or?
I don't actually know. I haven't looked at the internet streaming. We actually, Megan and I don't have cable, or we don't have any kind of television in the house. We just do some streaming. We've got Netflix and Hulu, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. I know I could get to the BBC through the internet, but I don't know about Channel 5.
There's one for our US listeners, I should say. If you are living in the US and you do have access to our Channel 5 here in the UK, I'd be interested to see if any of you guys can watch that program. Which is,
or if anybody's in the US, you can just head over to Seattle and watch it being built in person.
Well, yeah, even better. Yeah. So the last story on the commercial news this week, Armando, is a very special story. A very special story. It's a sad story, but it's also quite a poignant story, I think.
It is a very special story. 30 years ago, on July 19th, 1989, Captain Al Haynes and the crew of a United DC-10 made the best of a stunningly bad situation and brought Flight 232, flying from Denver to Chicago, into a landing at the Sioux City International Airport in a manner that saved 184 lives. An uncontained failure of the tail-mounted engine destroyed much of the aircraft's hydraulically actuated flight control system. The crew and others aboard, led by Haynes, taught themselves in the moment how to manipulate the airplane to the nearest suitable runway. Haynes passed away on Sunday, August 25th, 2019, at a Seattle hospital at age 87, just a few days shy of his 88th birthday. He was well known in the aviation community for his generous gift of time, sharing the story of the effective crew resource management responsible for avoiding a much greater loss of life in the accident. Haynes was honored by his fellow United pilots at the National Air and Space Museum's Wall of Honor. Though he remained humble about his role in the event, he retired from the airline in 1991. And I remember my dad was an airline pilot at the time, and he, Al Haynes was the Sully of that time, and my dad really looked up to Captain Al Haynes. And years later, when I was studying to become a crew resource management instructor or facilitator, that story of United 232, we continued to use that as a case study for a positive example of crew resource management when it was just in its infancy as a concept. So Captain Haynes, blue skies and tailwinds.
Very true. Yeah, it's one of those stories that I think we've all seen or read the reports and watched the various programs about. And he definitely done incredibly well along with his crew and everyone who helped him on that day. So, yeah, rest in peace. So, Armando, we're going to stick with you and hand things over to you to introduce the next part of the show.
Yeah, if you guys are ready, we're going to go a little bit out of order this time and go right into the military news. So if you're ready, let's hit the button. Yeah, this is another sad story from the Aviation Geek Club, and it's former Patrulla Águila solo pilot dies in a tragic Casa C-101 accident. The C-101 crashed into the sea off the coast of La Manga del Mar Menor in Murcia while practicing its display routine for the upcoming air shows. There was a video taken and posted on the internet of the Casa C-101 crashing into the sea off the coast and in Murcia while practicing its routine. According to the European Air Show Council Facebook page, Pilot Cmdte Paco Marin has died because of the accident. Commander Marin was a component pilot of the Águila team until 2018, being the solo. The team was formed in 1985 and is the aerobatic demonstration team of the Spanish Air Force. It is based at San Javier Air Base, the same location of the Spanish Air Force Academy, near Mar Menor and La Manga. Flying 7 Casa C-101 aviojets, they are the only team to use yellow smoke and are known for their formation landings. Goes on to describe the aircraft a little bit, and there is a video that people can go to if you're interested online about the showing the aircraft going into the ocean. So anytime this happens, it's always a sad day, especially when it's one of the demonstration pilots. These are by and large the best trained pilots in their country's air forces, and when an accident like this happens, it's really sad for the entire military community as well as the air show community.
Yeah, I saw the videos of this, Armando, which had been taken, I think, by people with, I assume, probably mobile phones. But it looked almost as if it happened very suddenly, and he didn't get a chance at all to eject from the aircraft.
Yeah, it did. It certainly didn't look like it, and it was similar to some of the other demonstration team mishaps that we've seen in the past, where it's coming out of either a loop or a Cubinate or something like that. So.
Very sad. So the next story is on the UK Defence Journal.org.uk, sent in by Jonathan Warner. This one. And the headline, British F-35 jets fly with the American B-2 stealth bombers. So this story then goes on that the British F-35 Lightning jets have been conducting integration flying training with the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers of the United States Air Force. This happened as part of the B-2 deployment to RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire. And the NATO is says here, NATO is the bedrock of Euro-Atlantic defence, and those secure foundations continue to be reinforced by the training exercises being completed by and between the Royal Air Force and our special friends in the US Air Force. Group Captain Richard Yates, Chief of Staff at the UK Air Battle Staff, said that we're delighted that the US Air Force and the 501st Wing Bomber Task Force are here in the UK, and that our F-35 Lightning pilots have the chance to fly alongside and train with the B-2 bomber crews. This is the first time that any other country has done this, and this flying integration builds on the work of exercise Lightning Dawn in Cyprus and the visit of the RAF F-35 Lightning to Italy in June, where in both cases it had the opportunity to prove itself among other NATO allies who operate the aircraft. And he says here that the Royal Air Force friends are integral to the 509th Bomb Wing mission, said Lieutenant Colonel Rob Schonenberg, Bomber Task Force Commander. The beauty of our partnerships is that we get to understand how they see the world. Working alongside international fifth-generation aircraft provides unique training opportunities for us to bolster our integration capabilities and showcases the commitment that we have to our NATO alliance. And RAF Fairford routinely hosts deployment and exercises of our US strategic aircraft. These regular deployments reinforce the US Air Forces, Europe and the Royal Air Force's unique complementary partnership and our collective contribution to NATO. Safe to say, some of these pictures on this story are quite incredible, actually. Armando, if you just take over, I'll pop these up on the screen for those of you watching at home.
Yeah, and in addition to the pictures that Carlos is going to pop up there, friend of the show, Jonathan Warner, did take some amazing pictures of some B-2 bombers over at RAF Fairfield, and they are the quality pictures that I feel like every time Jonathan goes out there and takes pictures, that each one of them is worthy of either being a computer backdrop or being, printed out and decorating my house. If only Megan would let me. But yeah, beautiful pictures out over the wash. Looks like the North Sea, and then down towards the White Cliffs of Dover with the F-35s and the B-2s. So very, very cool. And I'm sure it was a great opportunity for the British F-35s to get information with these things. So not very many people get to see them flying, considering they can literally fly around the world from Missouri. So
it's safe to say Jonathan sees them all the time. He lives virtually just around the corner from them.
Yeah, good for him.
So Nev, next story.
Actually, but before Nev goes on to finish the military, I've got to head out. So it was great to be on the show.
Hey.
And next week I am headed out to Reno on Friday. So I'll be out there for 10 days at the Reno Air Races. If anybody is going to be out there, I'd be more than happy to get them, behind into the pit area and talk with some of the pilots and show them behind the scenes. So just shoot me an email at armando@planetalkinguk.com and let me know where you're going to be and what gate we can meet at, and we'll walk around Reno behind the scenes.
Sounds like fun. You lucky, honestly, Nev. We miss out on
Very
all this
cool.
fun here, don't we?
We get some interviews and lots of nice pictures as well, which I'm sure you will.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see a lot of good content from Reno, as each one of those pilots has an incredible background, and they really do come from all over the place. Some are private pilots, some are military pilots, lots of airline pilots, and they all come together every year to chase each other around at 400 miles per hour in the Nevada desert. So
Excellent. Well, Armando, thanks for joining us this evening, and give our best to the family.
I certainly will. And you guys have a great rest of the show.
Okay, thanks. Take care, Armando. Everyone say goodbye. Bye. So we're back. So Nev, handing things over to you for the last story, the military segment.
This is an interesting one, isn't it? On popularmechanics.com, this aircraft, I don't know if you want to bring some pictures up whilst I'm reading this, Carlos, but this is an incredible designed aircraft. It's the Sukhoi Su-47, and one of these made a surprise appearance earlier this week at a Russian air show. The Su-47 was towed out of storage and placed on display at the MAX 2019 show at Zhukovsky International Airport just outside of Moscow. The Su-47 is one of two known aircraft built with forward-swept wings. Now, according to the aviationist, the Su-47 was unexpectedly towed out from storage and placed on a static display. Its first public appearance, since 2007. The black Su-47 jet features forward-swept wings, greatly increasing its maneuverability at low speeds. Unfortunately for the aircraft, the fall of the Soviet Union left Russia in a poor financial state and was unable to finance development without a foreign customer. Forward-swept wings were investigated by both the US and the Soviet Union and Russia themselves. The highly unusual wing arrangement gives a fighter jet a high angle of attack at low speeds, enabling it to change direction quickly. This could give the Su-47 a great advantage in a dogfight. Unfortunately, as the US Defense Advanced Research Project Agency notes, forward-swept wings make aircraft aerodynamically unstable. The American X-29 forward-swept jet requires extensive fly-by-wire computer controls and lightweight carbon fiber materials to make the plane flyable. This seems to have been a similar problem with the Su-47, as the new Su-57 fighter jet developed after the Su-47 retains a traditional wing layout. Other Russian aircraft, particularly the Sukhoi Su-35 Flanker E, achieve similar high angles of attack capabilities at low speeds with a combination of nose-mounted canards and thrust vectoring nozzles. The rollout of the Su-47 is a curious one. Why, after 12 years, is Russia showing off a jet that didn't lead to anything practical? Moscow should be placing its new Su-57 jet front and center without distraction. It's likely that some Su-47 technology, wings not included, went into the Su-57, and maybe the aircraft is being shown as part of the long road to a new Russian fighter. But yes, amazing aircraft, isn't it, Carlos? And
just defies...
it can only be flown in a fly-by-wire sense. Incredible.
It's just amazing. You just don't expect to see aircraft with full. It's as if it's been put together the wrong way. It was a Friday afternoon job. It was close to leaving off time, and they just sort of thought, well, we'll just stick it that way around. And yeah,
I wonder it'd be interesting to know what the sort of I'm no aerodynamicist, as I'm sure you know, but it'd be interesting to know what the speed penalty is at the higher speed. If it works so well for low speed dogfights and this kind of thing. I wonder what happens at the higher speeds. But yeah, absolutely fascinating. Actually, I quite like the look of the aircraft as well. Funnily enough, normally I'm not a big sort of military fan particularly, but that looks quite nice, doesn't it?
It does. So, Nev, perhaps while you're there, you can introduce the segment from Biggin Hill that we've got to play out.
Yes. Now, one of the things that I like about going to air shows, especially when you talk to the pilots, is the enthusiasm for their work, their aircraft, the things that they do. You'd think they'd get fed up with talking about it, wouldn't you? But not at all. And this is a classic example of Tony de Bruyn, who with his Bronco, and Carlos spoke to him at the show about the aircraft.
So look behind me here, because I'm standing in front of, one of the most awesome aircraft I think we've seen here at the display today at the Biggin Hill Festival of Flight. And I'm here with Tony. Tony, tell us a bit about this aircraft. What is this amazing aircraft behind us?
It's an amazing airplane. That's totally on the ball. This is an OV-10 Bronco, built in the mid-60s, developed for the Vietnam War in the forward air control role. And actually used quite successfully in Vietnam, and then later in the first Gulf War as well.
So what's it like to fly, Tony? Because obviously it's quite high off the ground with the undercarriage legs. Is it an easy aircraft to taxi and to take off?
Yeah, it's an absolute joy to fly. It's built for doing a job, so the pilot doesn't have to worry about what's happening in the airplane. So it's a stick and rudder airplane, really. Very simple to operate. It's very agile. It was designed to plus 10G load rating. So you can throw it around. It's fully aerobatic. I mean, it's just like the most fun you can ever have in an airplane.
So what kind of roles did this aircraft do, Tony?
Yeah, first role was forward air control, as I said before,
yep.
Counterinsurgency, which basically is flying over the front line where the troops are in close contact, making out the good guys from the bad guys, coordinating the attack with all means available. So this is not only the means of the airplane, but it was more like coordinating the attack using artillery, naval, the ground troops themselves. So the airplane carried in service 7 different radios to be able to speak to all the different services. Wow. And then make sure they all together took out the bad guys. So this was a very, the airplane was very much loved by the ground troops, on the good side.
So on the flight deck and the cockpit as such, is it all steam gauges? Is it high tech or?
It's fully steam gauge. It's typical US cockpit you'll find in the 60s. So you find a lot of instruments which are in a Phantom or in F-104 Starfighter as well, which I think is great. I mean, if one instrument fails, it's only one instrument that fails and not the whole screen. And they're all military standard instruments, so they're quite easy to find and quite easy to get serviced still today.
Yeah. So Tony, tell us a bit about yourself. How did the aviation kind of passion start with you? Where did you start from? PPL up to where you are now?
Yeah, I started with a PPL back in '89. I did some glider flying that way before that. And then that progressed to a CPL. So I'm a fully civil pilot. I don't have a military background. And I got about 5,000 hours now in twin turboprop airplanes.
So it must safe to say you must have a big garage back at home to store this aircraft.
That's correct. We got a hangar which is about 1,200 square meters.
So what other things do you do? I mean, obviously we're here at Biggin today. Do you go all around the other air shows around Europe?
Yeah, this year has been a very successful year again, and we've been in Holland, Germany, Czech Republic. We're going to Hungary at the end of the season. We've been all over the UK. We're going to Northern Ireland, so we pretty much cover the whole of Europe this year.
So this is one of the aircraft. I mean, for me personally, the first time I've seen one of these on a display, flying display. How many of these aircraft, are still operational flying?
Yeah, there was 360 built back in the day, in the beginning of the 70s, and at the moment I'm guessing like California Fire Department is flying 14 in California in exactly the same role that the airplane was designed for, which is coordinating an attack, but on the fire this time, so a more peaceful purpose. So they got 14. There is 2 flying at the moment in Europe. We got a second one which is coming online, so we'll have 3 in Europe. And then in the States there is 2 civil ones flying as well, and there is a new outfit, OV-10 Squadron, who are restoring a couple of OV-10s as well. The first one they got back in the air like just a month ago.
So how is it, or how easy is it to keep these aircraft flying? Obviously spare parts and maintenance and engineering. Is it something you do yourself with the aircraft, or?
Yeah, we're fully equipped for doing the maintenance on this aircraft under our UKCA approvals. It's not a very difficult airplane to maintain. It's like a standard twin turboprop. To find spare parts so far has proven not to be too difficult. So we're quite happy with the airplane, and I don't see any problem whatsoever in keeping the airplane in the air for the foreseeable future, which basically means 20 to 30 years or so.
Wow.
The engines are Garrett. You'll find them on plenty of other turboprops, and they're actually still being built new today. It's a very early model of a Garrett, but however, I mean, the internal parts for the engines are still being built by Honeywell.
So plans for the future, Tony. What have you got? Is there any plans you've got for the future? Are you going to stick with the aircraft, or is there any other sort of displays or things you want to try?
It's too much fun, this airplane, so we're definitely going to stick with this one. We've got a second one which is near the end of its restoration, so we're hoping to have 2 online, and who knows, there will be a third, a fourth, and a fifth one even.
Wow, to see 4 of these flying in formation would be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it would be absolutely awesome. I mean, it's like it's an amazing airplane, and there is some footage you can find on the internet of 5 Broncos or more even flying information, and it's an awesome sight and sound.
So Tony, whereabouts are you based yourself with the aircraft?
Yeah, we're based in Flanders Fields, very close to Ypres, which is on the French-Belgian border, just an hour's drive from Calais, which puts us right in the center of Europe. So it's a good place to be, to cover like the whole of Europe airshow-wise.
So for your journey here to Biggin Hill, from where you're based, was it one hit, or did you have to stop in various places on the way over?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, we've got a range of like 800 to 1,000 nautical miles.
Wow.
It's only 150 miles, Biggin Hill to where we're based, so it's an easy 40 minutes, one hop
40
flight.
minutes?
Yeah, 40
Wow.
minutes.
What sort of speeds does aircraft do at a cruise?
Cruise is 200 knots. The VNE is 350, but you have to point the nose quite down in order to reach 350.
And she has autopilot?
Not at all. It's all flown manually.
Wow.
All the time. No autopilot, anything whatsoever. And it's a neutrally stable airplane, so you have to stay with it all the time.
So it's a real pilot's aircraft?
It's absolutely a real pilot's airplane, yeah.
Tony, before we wrap up, just one last question before we finish. It's a question we ask all the pilots that we interview on the show. Kind of put you on the spot question. And given the chance to fly any aircraft in the world, be it retired or still flying, commercial, general aviation, military, you could go and fly now, what would it be?
Oh, I think I would probably stick with the Bronco.
We stick with the Bronco.
Yeah.
You love the Bronco.
I do, yes. I mean, it's a fun airplane to fly. It's very versatile. I mean, we've been to the most amazing places worldwide. We're planning a trip to the US, which is very, very doable with this airplane. We've been to the Far East. We've been, to so many places, and even to very small venues. Like if you have an air show on a small grass strip or so, 600 meters to 800 meters will do us fine. So I mean, we're so pleased with this aircraft. We don't really want to part with it, and it's so much fun to fly at the same time. Well, obviously you can think of many other airplanes you ever would like to fly, but this suits us fine.
Oh, that's fantastic. So for our listeners on the show, can they go somewhere to find out more about what you do?
Yeah, we do have a website, www.broncodemoteam.com, and we're on Facebook as well under the same name, Bronco Demo Team. And on Instagram you can find us on social media all over the place.
Well, great. Well, Tony, thanks very much for your time and talking about this amazing aircraft. It's been great to meet you, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks very much, and totally our pleasure. Thanks for
Thank you.
by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wasn't he awesome to chat to, Nev? Of course.
They just give so much, don't they? These pilots.
I know.
They stop talking about it, and that's brilliant. You know, just the thing.
I mean, what you couldn't see there is after we've wrapped up the interview and we kind of stopped talking on camera, that I think I continued chatting to Tony for about another 10 or 15 minutes.
That's right. Yes, that's right. When I was taking some other shots around, but yeah, no, he's great, isn't he? And yeah, that aircraft, the manoeuvrability of it. He was saying that some of the manoeuvres that they were doing, they can do, 89-degree banks, not 90 because the CAA don't like that, but 89 degrees, he says. And did you notice the counter-rotating props as well? I didn't clock that straight away, but when it was taxiing out, they are counter-rotating ones. So, what a great aircraft. And I think it's the enthusiasm of the pilots and the maintenance people that keep these things flying. And it's a great aircraft to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we can definitely say we had a great chat with Tony, and we have got loads of other great interviews coming up as well, haven't we, Nev? Which we had on the day, because it's safe to say that we were very much looked after by the guys at Biggin Hill, weren't we?
Yeah, the media team was fantastic, and it's quite often it's difficult to get interviews with people because they're busy preparing for the next display or whatever it is. So yeah, it was really good that the media team there made us feel so welcome, and I can't wait to go back there actually, because it was really good. So we teed it all up beforehand, but they could not have been more accommodating, and so we've got about half a dozen interviews in total to show you, and but yeah, they're all really good, and I'm really pleased that we managed to get down there.
Yeah. I'm just saying for the benefit of those of you watching on YouTube, I'll just put the website up there, the BroncoDemoTeam.com, if you want to find out more information about the display team and where you can get in touch with them. But yeah, it's definitely one of those aircraft that I hadn't seen before at an air show, and we've got one of these at our museum here just down the road from us at Flixton at the Aviation Museum, which is obviously not flying, but it is in one piece. But it's great to see these aircraft in the air, and they just look, to me, Nev, just look so strange with that really long, undercarriage legs, the actual struts. But
exactly. No, it's really good. So yeah, looking forward to more interviews and stuff next week.
Yes, so we're going to start to wrap up the show then, I suppose, Nev, aren't we?
Before we do, though, can I just say thank you very much for coming out of your bed, Carlos, because it would be safe to say that you were not 100%. You've contracted something nasty, which meant you had to come home from work.
Yes.
Yeah. Not very nice. So I hope you're feeling a little bit better, matey, anyway.
Yes, thank you, Nev, for that. Yes, I have been slightly, you could probably see my slightly red face because I am slightly warm. I have, for the last couple of days, been suffering with a very nasty virus here, and got told to leave work early on Wednesday. Thursday. Oh, my mind's gone my pot now. Yeah, Thursday morning. And so I've been bedridden most of yesterday, and back into the stride of things today a bit at home. I've been up and about and getting over, but it's really knocked me for six. I'll have to say that, it's the illest I've felt for a long, long time, that's for sure. But I'm back.
And
I'm back.
so you won't mind, listeners and viewers, if you don't mind a slightly shorter show tonight, because the chap's got to rehydrate and get himself some shut-eye.
Yeah, I've got the bottle here.
So, yeah, that's good. Well, next week there's much excitement as far as I'm concerned, because on Tuesday I'm flying from London Heathrow to Helsinki, Finland, with those very nice Finnair folks on their A350-900. I cannot wait, I have to say. I've never been on an A350 before. Hopefully Carlos and I will be on the A350-1000 going to Dubai in November, unless they change the plane again. But at the moment it looks like it's the Dash 1000. But yeah, I'm on the Dash 900 to Helsinki on Tuesday. So I'm really looking forward to that. Might do a quick Nev's passenger experience thingy if I can get my act together in time. So stay tuned. But really looking forward to that.
Actually, I was going to say, are you going to do an MPE segment for that particular?
I probably should.
I think you should try and get some video, Nev, of your flight. I think that's definitely.
I'll see what I can do. But really looking forward to it. I haven't been to Helsinki for 12, 13 years, and it's a lovely part of the world, and the people are very friendly, and of course the food is magnificent too, which is the prerequisite for going anywhere as far as I'm concerned.
Actually, Richard Adams has said that I need some go around us, Cyllin.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I could have definitely done with something yesterday. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Even the cat was steering clear of me yesterday. That's for sure.
But yes, and even Matt refused to come into the house.
He did. Matt, because I'm looking after Matt's house this week, and Mima the cat, obviously, because Mima's here, but because Alfie's gone away with Mama Smith and Matt for their holidays. And Matt wouldn't even come in and see me today in the house. He literally pushed the keys through the letterbox and then drove away very fast. So thanks for that, Matt. I very, very much appreciate it.
Well, as he pointed out, the last thing he would want if he was going on his holes was to pick up what you had. So
yes.
Hopefully you'll start to feel a bit better in the next day or so as well.
I hope so.
Thanks so much for doing the show as well, because I know that it was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I know. I got here in the end. Yes, I just stole Gemma's car and drove here. I done all right. Yeah, not to worry. We'll be back next Friday anyway. But so social media pushes and stuff, bits and pieces like that. Don't forget, if you want to contact the show, because we do love to hear from you. If you want to contact the show, Nev, what email address can they send their audio bits and pieces to us at?
What you can do is send it to podcast@planetalkinguk.com, and that will come into us. You can send it in whatever format you like. If you've got any video to send us, let us know that you've got that, and we can accommodate that as well. And you can find us on Facebook and on Twitter, and any social media channel just about. So do a search for Plane Talking UK podcast and you will find us, and also of course on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from.
And don't forget, if you want to become a Patreon of the show, we would very much appreciate it. If you have got a few spare pennies laying behind the sofa and you want to donate and help to fund the show, we really would appreciate that incredibly muchly. You can find the links on our website to our Patreon page, or you can donate via PayPal as well. And also don't forget, on our website you can find the links to click on to get yourself a PTUK lovely, beautiful 100% cotton t-shirt with the P2K logo embroidered on the front and print on the back. You can find all the details on our website to grab yourself one of those. So that's about it, really, I suppose. What are you up to next week, Nev? Anything exciting in the world of Nev?
Yes, I've got my Helsinki trip on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. A bit of London activity, a bit of driving, I think, at some point. But looking forward to it. So I've started my new job, been there a month now and really enjoying the folks. Really nice to try something new. So yeah,
Excellent.
we're looking forward. Honestly, I'm looking forward to going to work on Monday, which is great.
Yeah, I have that thing too now. Never. I actually look forward to going to work every week, which I haven't been able to say for a long while. But no. So that is where we are going to bring episode number 284 to a close. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to all the chat room who joined us tonight, taking time out of your Friday, and not forgetting as well everyone who downloads the show via iTunes and all the other awesome places online to download the show. We really do appreciate that. So from me, Carlos, here in a very warm PTK studio, and from Nev, it's good night. So good night. Bye bye.
Yeah, take care. See you guys. Bye. Bye. The end. Oh, he's gone. Carlos has left the room, literally.
Hello.
There we go. Hello.
I'm back.
Did you have to pay a visit or something like that?
Oh
dear.
thought I'd leave that there.
Well,
There you go. Look.
nice. Yeah, lovely. Super. Good job.
Oh,
Yes. Well, you got through it, mate.
I got
That's the
through
main
it.
thing,
I got through it.
Yes. Not very good.
Oh, thanks
Now, it's
everyone
gonna be
in the
interesting
chat room.
What happens with all these strikes and stuff coming up, isn't it? With the BA
Don't
strike.
talk about that, Nev, because I'm off next Sunday, aren't I?
Oh,
To Malta
yes,
next
you
Sunday.
are. You are. And
Yes.
what airline are you flying with?
I'm flying to Malta with.
There we go. Nice, lovely.
On one of these things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we'll see how that goes. So
Yeah.
you might be on the phone to your chums at Air Malta, possibly, to say.
Yeah. Can you get me a flight out of Southampton quickly, please? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that we
Yeah.
should be. We should be okay. Hopefully, it's not till
Yeah.
next Sunday. Sunday first early hours in the morning. Flying from Luton, unfortunately.
Oh.
Oh yes, flying from Luton. But yeah, the awkward thing is that I have sillily booked a gig on the Saturday night, so I'm doing a karaoke function and disco at our local pub in town on the Saturday night, and I finished there at midnight, and then we have literally got to leave to drive down to Luton at 2 a.m. So sleep will probably take a kind of back seat on next weekend.
Don't the Irish airline do a service out of Stansted to Malta?
They do. They actually, we could have flown from Stansted to Malta, actually for 24 quid cheaper each per person, but the flights leaving Stansted would have got us into Malta on the Sunday night about 9 o'clock, which means we'd have lost all of our first day. And then coming home, they were leaving early hours of the morning, which means we'd have lost all our last day. So I opted to pay the extra 24 quid to fly from Luton.
Not many people say that. Actually,
I know, but we get there at just after 10:30 a.m. and we've got the whole first day, and then and pretty much all of the last day. So looking
nice.
forward to that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, the weather will be nice, won't it? That's for sure.
Yeah, 10-day forecast is looking quite good actually for Malta at the moment. Mind you, it's good. We knew it would be good, hence the reason we book to go each year.
Yeah.
But I think at the moment Yes, 30 degrees at the moment. That's night time there. Let's just see what the 10-day forecast is. Yeah, so going up to next Sunday. Yeah, we're looking at 30 degrees during the day, dropping down to 24 at night.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I was driving back up the M4, which is our sort of east-west motorway here in the UK on, what day was it? I think it was Wednesday, or was it Tuesday? And I was doing, the speed limit, so I wasn't sat in the sunshine or anything. And the temperature on the car said 34 degrees centigrade or Celsius.
Really?
Which was a bit blinking hot. Yes. That was, and you just put your hand on the window and it was really hot, So, but yeah, it was very stifling. But luckily, that the day after, the temperature came down somewhat. But it was, it was a scorcher. Yeah, scorcher.
I'd just imagine being in your part of the country, it's probably warmer than it is because you're more inland than what we are here.
Well, we're a long way from. We're almost the furthest point from the coast anywhere in the country, actually. Or I think High Wycombe is just not far from me, about 15 miles away. So, yeah, so it can be a bit hot.
Neil Lamors has said in the chat room he reckons it was over 40 degrees in the Guppy last week.
Oh, I can imagine,
Ouch.
because that's very enclosed space, isn't it there? And, it's pretty warm.
Right, well, I suppose we better say goodbye to Le Chat Room this evening.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
And see you next Friday, I guess.
Yeah, next Friday. Yeah, it's good with me. Yeah, next Friday's good with me.
Will you be in Malta at that point, or will you?
No, we fly Sunday.
Oh, you fly Sunday.
Yeah, we fly Sunday. Yeah, we fly Sunday. I've got the gig Saturday night. So next Friday's actually next Friday. I don't know whether Matt's back, actually. No, I don't know. Perhaps I will be here on my own again next week. Woohoo!
It'll be another technical triumph.
Yes. Anyway, right. Thanks, everyone in the chat room who's joined us again. And have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. And I really hope none of you ever get this poxy virus thing that I've caught. But
no, I hope it's not coming down the line.
No.
Coming through this microphone or something like that.
No. So goodbye, everyone in the chat room. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Have a good
Bye.
Bye.